Well, our next round is called In Their Own Words, and it reflects the life and habits of well-known personalities. And they do say that as we get older, we become more set in our ways. For example, our own Barry Cryer's daily routine is so rigid that Weatherspoons set their clock by him. All right, so I have the words of erstwhile newspaper editor, broadcaster, and talent show judge Piers Morgan, from which certain passages have been removed, and I'd like the teams to try to fill in the missing bits. Okay, so here we go. People do actually come up in the street and say they really like me, but I know there are others who don't. I'm a bit like...
hemorrhoids.
See, Marmite is what you said too.
Oh, right.
I was once a crossword clue in the Daily Mail's weekend magazine, something that ought to have brought a slither of pleasure. Only the photo of me they used had 3 chins and a bright red face, and the caption said simply,
Canut brackets anagram.
It said media pundit Piers. My upbringing. I was brought up a practicing Catholic. I pray occasionally. I find it comforting to believe that
God is always keen to hear what I have to say.
that there's something to pray to. I do believe in an afterlife. I do believe that people are up there looking down, and I do believe if I talk directly to them, they might
relieve themselves.
might help me. I bounced between the 2 types of education. At 7, after the local primary, I was a boarder at a great prep school until I was 13, when I was sent to the local comp. It upset my mum and dad to have to do it, but they just ran out of
the house, screaming, "Somebody take him away!"
They just ran out of money. Some of the kids there gave me a hard time for being a posh twit. Back then, my name was Piers Pugh Morgan. My schoolmates called me...
Piss poor organ.
You're almost right, actually. Piss puke moron. I was probably most fond of a teacher there called Mr. Freeman. He was cruel, but...
I like that in a man.
Cruel but fair. My time in newspapers. I don't think anything will beat walking on Miami Beach in 1994, aged 28, barefoot in the surf, and getting a call from Rupert Murdoch as he politely informed me
I was trespassing.
I was going to be running the biggest newspaper in the world. When people read my memoirs, they'll be amazed and appalled at the degree of access I had to...
a typewriter.
to the Queen and Downing Street. Prince Philip was quite splendidly rude at a Buckingham Palace reception to mark his son Charles's 50th birthday. When I introduced myself, he completely refused
to curtsy.
to utter a single word.
Oh.
Then he said to a friend of mine as he shot off,
"Bugger, missed him."
And he said, "God, you can't tell from the outside, can you?" At a new cookbook launch for Tom Parker Bowles at Kensington Palace, I spied Camilla talking to ultra-cool portrait painter Johnny Yeo and seized the moment. I asked, "Is he trying to get you to pose nude?" Camilla smirked and said,
"Security."
Said, "You are a very naughty boy, Piers." No, he's not. Rebecca Brooks and James Murdoch are 2 old friends. They're selling lots of papers and making lots of money. But they've both been dogged by...
those old blokes in the car park behind Tesco's.
the ongoing phone hacking scandal. My ultimate defense of stories is that they are 100% true. I don't make moral judgments. Sometimes my grandmother says, "That's a revolting load of rubbish you printed this morning." But when I press her further, she...
turns blue and passes out.
She will admit she found it entertaining.
Oh.
And about my books, I once walked into Waterstones to check out the Christmas books when one of the managers came rushing up to me and asked if I would mind
leaving as I was frightening the children.
signing some copies of my book while I was there. I followed the manager downstairs, but rather than take me to the biography department, we headed into the gardening section. I said, "Who do you think I am?" He replied, "You're..."
Something I'd put on my roses.
"You're Dermot Gavin, aren't you?" That's what he said. About me, I don't pretend to be an intellectual at all, and I'm not very well...
Hung.
well read. I don't think I'm thick. I think I'm probably quite...
Wrong about that, though.
quite street smart. And my television career, the fee to appear on I Am a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, is absurdly large. And when ITV first rang to invite me to appear in a new series, a tiny part of me was
Tumescent.
was tempted.
Oh.
Ever since I won his Celebrity Apprentice show, Donald Trump always calls me...
His bitch.
always calls me champ. Mum and Dad were on their first trip to Los Angeles when I took them to dinner with Jackie and Joan Collins. Both sisters tell the most fantastically entertaining, gossip-laden stories about the rich and famous. Joan excelled herself tonight. She said, "I tried cocaine once, but I sneezed and accidentally blew..."
Christopher Biggins.
And accidentally blew it all over Sammy Davis Jr. When I turned 50, I had a massive party which was spectacularly decadent and ended with Amanda Holden
Saying, "Is anyone else coming?"
playing bongos at 3 a.m. I know all this stuff that's happening now is going to end. As my granny used to say, cock of the walk one day and...
Cock of the week the next.
and feather duster the next. I've told my 3 sons that you can get through any door in life with a firm...
Of locksmiths.
with a firm handshake.